In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court...
Beyond the gavels and the robes lie moments of high-stakes drama. Shocking twists and tension that can reach a boiling point. These are not your regular courtroom moments, but dramatic ones that will leave you on the edge of your seat.
She'll be arrested for 10 days for contempt of court. You go now.
From shocking reactions to sentences to unexpected escape attempts, these courtroom moments will get you captivated like a Hollywood thriller.
Count one will be 10,000.
Are you serious?
I am serious. Adios.
Join us as we count down the most dramatic courtroom moments of all time, where the stakes are high and the outcomes are far from certain. Nicole Babb. This is not a movie, but a clip from a bond hearing in Miami-Dade County Circuit Court. Judge Klein, known by everyone as Fast Jerry, a name he earned because he doesn't waste time on any case in the courtroom, had a list of defendants to address on that day. And as he was busy addressing one of them, 24-year-old Nicole Babb got up from her seat, went to the center of the courtroom, and stripped herself naked. Obviously, everyone found that funny, except Judge Klein, who was unfazed by her actions.
All right, take him out and bring him back tomorrow.
After things calmed down a bit, the judge was ready for the next defendant. Guess who? It seemed Nicole was under the influence of an illegal substance. Or maybe she was only putting up a show to avoid her punishment as she was facing identity theft charges. But in the end, Judge Klein set her $5,000 bond without batting an eye. Even though Nicole seemed crazy, the real definition of crazy is evident in the actions of Deobra Redden. This incident happened in Clark County District Court when Judge Mary Kay Holthus was about to deliver Redden's sentence in an attempted battery case. But what happened next was not what anyone in the courtroom expected.
In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court...
Redden was so strong on the judge that it took the clerk and a court-martial to fight Redden off and restrain him. This wild video quickly garnered a lot of views on the internet, making it one of the unforgettable moments in the courtroom. While the hearing could no longer proceed on that day, 1 week later, Redden was back in court to face Judge Holthus, who sentenced him to up to 4 years in prison for the battery charge he had pleaded guilty to initially. However, that was not the end. Redden now had a new indictment for attempted murder, which stemmed from attacking Holthus. Allegedly, he grabbed her, pulled her hair, placed his hands around her throat, and hit her on the head by an unknown means. And to crown it all, he was also accused of punching, kicking, and pushing a Las Vegas police officer. He'll definitely be gone for so long. At least we can say violence does not make anything better. A fact well known by Brian Earl Taylor. Back in 2015, Taylor appeared in Washtenaw County Trial Court to receive his sentencing for unlawful imprisonment and carrying a concealed weapon. But he thought the matter could be settled amicably, so he was given a chance to apologize in his own way. But the 21-year-old had a rather unusual way of apologizing for his crimes, as he turned the court to a stage rendering his version of Adele's Hello.
Hello there, Your Honor, I wanna say I'm sorry for the things I've done, and I try and be stronger in this life I chose, but I want you to know that door I closed. In Your Honor, I'm sorry, 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 sorry.
Unfortunately for Taylor, not a single person in the courtroom was impressed. Not even Judge Darlene O'Brien, who eventually sentenced him to serve 2 years in prison for illegally carrying a concealed weapon and 18 months for unlawful imprisonment. At the time of this video, Taylor has finished serving time, and to show the world he's a changed man, he's taken on Adele's song once again and showcased a song he wrote while behind bars. Oh, poor Adele can't escape from this man's mind, but guess who thought he could escape from a courtroom? Daniel Nicholson. You see, Daniel was in court on September 15, 2020, for charges of carrying an offensive weapon and possessing a prohibited weapon. But as soon as Magistrate Sue O'Connor revoked his bail, he decided to do the unthinkable. After he freaked out about the decision, Nicholson is met by two sheriff's officers who try to stop him from leaving the Christie's Beach Magistrates Court. A scuffle ensues before Nicholson jumps out of the dock on his second attempt and lands on the bar table. Police prosecutor Brendan Gott-Schutzke quickly grabbed him and pinned him to the ground, but Nicholson managed to break free from his hold. Nicholson was then recaptured before he was able to get out of the courtroom, after which order was restored. The court was told Nicholson was high on methamphetamine at the time of his attempted escape, but Nicholson claimed that he got scared when he was told his bail was revoked because he thought he was just appearing in court that day and would have gone home to his 4 children. He also told police that his reaction was stupid and that he didn't mean to hurt anyone after hurting an official during the scuffle. However, his apology didn't seem to move Judge Chapman, who said the outburst was inexcusable. In the end, Nicholson was handed a 1-year, 9-month, and 18-day prison sentence with a non-parole period of 1 year. Even if everyone forgets this moment, you bet the injured officer won't. But trying to escape is still much more expected in a courtroom than this next behavior displayed by David Moses. Just by looking at his face, you probably won't expect the kind of crime he has committed, but he became popular courtesy of a violent and tragic case. It happened back in 2010 in Bakersfield, on the night 81-year-old Dorothy was cooking her dinner inside her home. Suddenly, David broke in with the intention of burglary, and on seeing that his victim was an old woman, he took her presence for granted. But Dorothy wasn't going to allow anyone to invade her privacy, as she contented David. The situation soon became violent, resulting in David severely beating the woman, who later succumbed to her injuries. For that crime, David appeared in Kern County Superior Court in California, facing first-degree murder and burglary. While his offense was grave, his behavior in the courtroom was worse, as he went from chuckling to yawning loudly in the courtroom. For someone who committed murder, who could be facing a life sentence to the death penalty, David felt too relaxed in court. And the craziest part that no one saw coming was David sleeping. Well, the judge was merciful enough by giving him a life sentence without possibility of parole, and he or his relatives weren't even bothered about it. But sometimes when you're not even bothered, people do on your behalf, like it happened in the case of Tracy Hunter. You may be familiar with this face, or maybe the name at least. Tracy Hunter was a juvenile judge, and the first black judge of one of the largest juvenile courts in Ohio. She was sworn in on May 25, 2012, and a big celebration soon followed. However, her joy was short-lived, as her worst nightmare followed in September 2013, when prosecutors alleged that someone had backdated documents in Hunter's court. She was convicted in October 2014 of having an unlawful interest in a public contract, a 4th-degree felony, a charge that was related to Hunter using her position as a judge to give her brother, a juvenile court employee on the brink of being fired, confidential documents. Tension started to build from the time the crime was being investigated up until the almost 40-minute hearing in a Hamilton County courtroom packed with supporters of Hunter. The hearing was preceded by Judge Dinkelacker, a white judge who had received over 40 postcards threatening him to exonerate Hunter. One of Hunter's attorneys, David Singleton, also asked for a delay, saying he intended to file a motion to dismiss her conviction on a single felony charge related to the handling of confidential documents, because she hadn't violated any law.
Under the plain language of this statute, she is not guilty of securing the authorization of employment, period.
But Dinkelacker mentioned that he won't be intimidated in any way, and after that, he decided to impose the 6-month sentence on Hunter, and finally told a courtroom deputy to take her away. What followed was a courtroom explosion from Hunter's supporters in the courtroom, and Hunter dragged out while it was going on. Meme-worthy, yeah? Talking about memes. One person who gave us an unforgettable moment that had to go into a viral meme is Tony Farmer. This is another guy famous long before his meme days. He was a high schooler at the time, a soon-to-be senior at Garfield Heights High School, and a student ranked among the top 100 high school players in the country, who was being sought after by many colleges. But Farmer soon got himself into trouble after having an altercation with his ex-girlfriend Andrea Lane in the parking lot of her apartment complex in Bedford Heights. Much of the incident was caught on videotape inside the apartment building, where Farmer can be seen hitting Lane, and at one point outside the building, he dragged Lane by her hair. He was then indicted by a grand jury on charges of kidnapping, felonious assault, and robbery stemming from the altercation, and was later charged with intimidation as well, after he sent threatening phone and text messages to Lane. While his sentence was being read in court, Farmer could not believe his ears, and soon, he collapsed in a clip that was used to make the infamous "bruh" meme.
The court orders that the defendant shall serve a term of 2 years on that count as well.
Okay, that was unexpected, but a moment no one saw coming was the moment of a terrible act committed by Bass Webb. This man is a hardened criminal who kept piling an offense on another. He became known for trying to run over officials, Deputy Ryan Barkley and pretrial officer Josh Mason, as they stood outside the Bourbon County Jail. Fortunately, one of them was able to run away, while the other suffered serious injuries as Bass's car pinned him to the jail wall. It is not clear if they had any prior issue before he decided to run them over with a car, but it soon became clear that he must really not like the two men, as he did something unimaginable in the courtroom. The judge handling his case, District Judge Vanessa Dixon, who serves Bourbon, Scott, and Woodford counties, soon recused herself from the case because she knows the two officials personally and wouldn't want to be biased in her judgment. But as soon as she made her intentions known to Bass, he did this.
There's no way I'm going to try this case or have any further proceedings, or I have to see you for one further step. Set preliminary hearing next week.
Yeah, he spat on the judge. According to Dixon's clerk, Asbury, Bass basically didn't like that she told him she was done with him. But that day ended with deputies escorting Bass out of the courtroom with no charge filed concerning the spitting. But that was not the end of Bass's case in court. After he attempted to run over the two officers, he led police on a chase until his car caught fire. And while police arrested him, he told officers that he had killed a woman on New Lair Road in Cynthiana. As unbelievable as it sounds, unfortunately, it turned out to be true. Officers later recovered the body of a woman known as Bria Runovich inside a single-family residence at 1023 New Lair Road. Formally, Bass Webb was sentenced to 37 years in prison for trying to run over two Bourbon County Jail employees in 2009, and was also sentenced to 50 years in prison after pleading guilty to murder in the death of Bria Runovich, who was later known to be his estranged girlfriend. He was later found to be in trouble to be the murderer of another former girlfriend, Sabrina Marie Vaughn, who disappeared in 2003, and her body was found in 2010. After the trial ended, Bass was eventually sentenced to life in prison. However, his records behind bars show he's someone who won't stop causing trouble no matter what, as he and a few other inmates started a riot in jail. But the one person who won't stop talking regardless of what you do to her is Rashana Morrison. The thing is, Rashana Morrison isn't the only one in this case. She was in court to fight for the custody of her child with her ex-husband, Collins Morrison. She alleged that her husband drinks and goes around spending time with other women, which is why she doesn't want him to have anything to do with the child. She also alleged that Collins had neglected the boy since he was 3 months old, without taking his responsibilities.
I'm angry that his dad lives in Durham, can go on vacations with friends, take mistresses out to eat, take her on vacation, and can't seem to see his son.
However, after all said, the judge was in support of neither the mother nor the father, as he mentioned that none of them is important.
I could care less about the 2 of you. I could. The 2 of you are not important.
During the judge's speech, he called the parents idiots thrice, which didn't sit well with Rashana.
You say one more word, you're gonna go to the Durham County Dead Breakfast today.
Regardless of what Rashana had to say, the judge still passed a sentence that he felt was the best for the child involved. And again, Rashana was not pleased.
This is a disgrace. What you guys are doing, you need to let your son
After everything was calm, a lot of people who saw the video criticized the judge for his comments and his judgment, but he still maintained that he was doing what was best for the child involved. Talking about children, the system takes care of them and goes easy on them in many cases, but sometimes they take things too far, just like Penelope Soto. Soto was just 18 when she was arrested on a drug possession charge, but she soon made headlines when a video from her first bond court appearance went viral. This video shows her appearing before Circuit Judge Jorge Rodriguez Chomat excited. But even though she was acting like she didn't know the gravity of her offense, the judge only told her to take the case seriously, but the words didn't sink into her brain. While the court was trying to determine how much to set for her bond based on her worth, Soto boasted about having expensive jewelry instead.
Well, it's not a joke, you know. We are not in a club now.
Okay, but it's, you know,
Well,
kind
you
of,
see,
you know,
we
but
are not in a club. Be serious about it.
I'm serious about
Oh,
it.
you're
You
being
just
very.
made me
I can
laugh.
see you're serious, all right.
You just made me laugh. I apologize.
It's all right. How much is your jewelry worth?
It's worth a lot of money.
Like what?
Like Rick Ross.
Huh?
The judge then set her bond to $5,000. On hearing the amount of bond that was set for her, she was shocked and told the judge adios, rudely. The judge called her to come back and raised her bond to $10,000 for being disrespectful and using her words on her, and what happened next was even worse.
Give me the paper again. Count one will be 10,000.
Are you serious?
I am serious. Adios.
That was super disrespectful, and it was a call for the judge to add more to her punishment as he beckoned her to come back once again.
Come back again. Come back again. Bring her back again.
What's up?
I believe I heard you saying to...
Yes, I did. I'm not going to do
I believe you... Did you say...
Yes,
me?
actually, I
Did you say that?
Yes, sir, I did.
Oh, you did say that?
I'm not
I find you in
gonna lie.
direct criminal contempt. 30 days in the county jail.
A few days later, Soto apologized to the judge, saying she was under the influence of Xanax and alcohol when she made the obscene gesture. Well, we agree. You had to be under the influence of something really dangerous to do all of that. But one thing that a sane person should not do is what is depicted in our subscriber's pick. This looks like what is absolutely generated and totally impossible, but unfortunately, it reminds us of a true story that takes us to Western Sydney, a suburb of St. Clair. On July 20, 2019, Jessica Camilleri banged on her neighbor's door to show her something she had done. Fortunately for the neighbor, she was not available at the time, so she couldn't attend to Jessica immediately. Later, she discovered that Jessica had decapitated her mother and attempted to show it to her. She then called a 000 operator and told them to send an abundance, saying she had stabbed her 57-year-old mother to death in self-defense. When the law enforcement officers got to the apartment, they were met with a gruesome sight of Rita Camilleri's headless body. More than 5 hours later, Jessica kept asking if her decapitated mother could still be revived, with an officer telling her that a decapitated person cannot be revived. According to the autopsy reports, Rita was stabbed in the head and neck more than 100 times. During trial, Jessica didn't plead guilty, with her defense counsel arguing she was mentally impaired. She said, "I had my mom's head in my hand. I know it sounds crazy. I didn't know what I was doing." Yes, we agree that this sounds crazy. But before we bring you more of the most dramatic courtroom moments of all time, let us know what you think about Jessica's case in the comments section. While you're doing that, let's discuss one of the most chaotic courtroom moments, which happened during the sentencing of Frank De Leon Jr. De Leon, a 19-year-old who pleaded guilty to murdering his teenage girlfriend, Diamond Alvarez, was in court to be formally sentenced when chaos erupted in the courtroom. De Leon was out on bond while the case made its way through the courts. However, the trial was supposed to start 4 days prior, when he refused to show up after defense attorneys said he was involved in an accident and had to go to the hospital. For that, an arrest warrant was issued, and De Leon was taken into custody later that day. He appeared in court on this day, with his arm in a sling, suggesting he may have actually been in an accident. There, he took a plea deal in exchange for a 45-year sentence, and soon it was time for a victim impact statement. Ana Machado, Alvarez's mother, gave a victim impact statement with De Leon and his family in the courtroom, and in her comments, she called De Leon a monster, saying his mother, who was in the gallery, had raised him to be that way. In no time, Machado started walking towards De Leon when a deputy stopped her from getting to him. And while no one was watching, another family member lunged at the teen. Moments later, De Leon's mother joined in, and even more people joined in the fight that lasted for a few minutes before order was restored and the courtroom cleared. Unrelated, but it was during this chaos that a defendant in a separate case, in another courtroom in the same building, managed to escape after his bond was revoked. Next is the case of Tarner and Cody. This clip shows 22-year-old Tanner Jacobson and 28-year-old Cody Howard being escorted out of the court with two other inmates. But instead of walking to the right of the judge, the two bolted for the door. Judge R.W. Buzzard leaped into action as he threw his robe off, seeing prisoners attempting to escape. Tarner was in the lead while bounding down 4 flights of stairs, but the judge closed in on Cody and grabbed him just as he was about to exit the courthouse. According to reports, Tarner was also apprehended a few blocks away from the Lewis County Courthouse in Chehalis, about 85 miles southwest of Seattle. Both were charged with second-degree escape, and while they were later interviewed, they mentioned they didn't know what came over them. Michael Madison. During a sentencing hearing for East Cleveland serial killer Michael Madison, Van Terry took the stand to speak to the man who tortured and murdered his 18-year-old daughter, Sherelda Terry. And while he was giving his statement, the criminal's actions made him do the unimaginable.
Touched our families, taking my child.
That happened because Madison grinned, causing Terry to lunge across the room and lunge at the face of the man who had killed his daughter. While grinning may be a general thing, it is not expected of a man who tortured and took the lives of 3 people, namely 18-year-old Sherelda Terry, 28-year-old Shatisha Sheely, and 38-year-old Angela Deskins. In 2013, their mutilated bodies were found decomposing near where Madison lived, which led to his arrest. Madison's lawyers argued his behavior was created by his abusive and chaotic childhood, but the jury and judge were not swayed as they sentenced him to death in 2016. Melissa Hardwick. On this fateful day, Melissa was in court because her husband reported her for domestic violence, and while her defense attorney was trying to show there was no evidence of Hardwick being violent, the hearing took an unexpected turn. After Judge Jennifer Edwards handed Hardwick a 10-day sentence, she lunged across the bench and attacked the judge. It all started with Hardwick's husband explaining why he filed the order. Hardwick then interrupted and refused to stop talking after the judge warned her she would be held in contempt for disobeying her order to do so. While you would think she had cooperated, no one knew she was only waiting for the judge to hand out her sentence before attacking her.
She'll be arrested for 10 days for contempt of court. You go now.
Hardwick was taken down by 3 security officers, and fortunately, the judge was not hurt in the incident while Hardwick suffered facial scratches. Eventually, Hardwick was sentenced to 120 days in jail for contempt of court for the incident, and her bond was set at $25,000. She faces charges of third-degree terroristic threatening, intimidating a participant in the legal process, and resisting arrest. After the incident, it was clear as day that Hardwick was indeed violent, and for that, Judge Edwards ruled that the domestic violence order filed by Hardwick's husband would remain. While this case was violent, this next one may just crack your ribs. Corey Harris. Although this didn't really happen in a courtroom, Corey Harris was in virtual attendance, but surprisingly, in a vehicle. Why was it surprising? He was unlawfully driving during a virtual court meeting when he was in court for a case related to his driver's license. In the previous month, Corey Harris was arrested for driving under suspended driving privileges, according to Michigan's Department of State, in a recorded moment that quickly spread across social media. And while he was attending the courtroom while driving, Judge Cedric Simpson was visibly amused.
Mr. Harris, are you driving?
Actually, I'm pulling into my doctor's office, actually. So just give me 1 second. I'm parking right now.
The judge says in the video that the charge for which Harris was to appear was regarding driving with a suspended license, and then orders Harris to turn himself in at the Washtenaw County Jail that same day. Harris's stunned face quickly sparked memes across social media, and artist renderings of him went viral. But since that incident made national headlines, the story has taken several turns. Following Harris's arrest and a 2-day stint in jail, it was reported that his license was actually supposed to have been reinstated more than 2 years prior, and that a clerical error was responsible for the embarrassing incident. Later, in a new hearing, Judge Simpson makes clear that Harris never actually had an eligible driver's license, a statement confirmed by the records from Michigan's Department of State. This makes the whole case even more complicated, as Harris seemed to look like he was surprised to find himself behind the wheel. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.